In 1940, the skies over Britain were a battlefield. The Royal Air Force needed fighters fast. They asked North American Aviation to build Curtiss P-40s under license. Instead, NAS President Dutch Kindelberger made an audacious promise: a brand new, superior fighter delivered in just 120 days. Desperate enough to gamble, agreed. The result was the NAA-73X prototype, which rolled out in September 1940, a mere 102 days after the contract was signed. This unprecedented feat of engineering and hustle marked the humble beginning of what would become the P-51 Mustang, a plane born from a desperate need and a bold vision. Meanwhile, another design genius was at work. Alexander Kartevy of Republic Aviation conceived a fighter of immense proportions and power, designed around the massive Pratt & Whitney R2800 double Wasp engine and a complex turbo-supercharger system. The P-47 Thunderbolt was a heavyweight contender. Its robust, barrel-shaped fuselage, necessary to house the turbocharger ductwork, earned it the nickname Jug, short for Juggernaut. When fully loaded, it could weigh up to 8 tons, making it one of the heaviest single-engine fighters of the war. It was a flying tank, built not for elegance, but for sheer, overwhelming force. The early Mustang, with its sleek lines and revolutionary laminar flow wing, was a beautiful machine. However, it was hamstrung by its Allison engine, which had a critical weakness. Its power dropped off rapidly above 15,000 feet. This made it ineffective in the high-altitude battles where the air war over Europe was being decided. Consequently, these early Mustangs were relegated to low-level roles like photo reconnaissance and ground attack. It was a superb airframe held back by its engine. Both British and American engineers saw its potential and wondered, what if they gave it a more powerful heart? The answer would change the course of the air war. The solution came from Britain. Rolls-Royce engineers, led by test pilot Ronald Hawker, had a what-if moment. They replaced the Allison with their own mighty Merlin engine, the same power plant that propelled the Spitfire. The results were nominal. Stage supercharger gave the Mustang exceptional high-altitude performance. In the US, the Packard Motor Company began building Merlins under license. The transformed aircraft, now designated the P-51B, was a game-changer. It was faster, could fly higher, and its range was dramatically extended. The P-47's secret weapon was its advanced turbo-supercharger, mounted in the belly of the aircraft. This complex system used engine exhaust to drive a turbine, compressing thin air at high altitude and forcing it back into the engine, allowing the Thunderbolt to maintain incredible power at over 40,000 feet. The pipes routing exhaust to the turbine would glow red-hot at full power, a testament to the raw energy harnessed within the Jug's fuselage. This technology made the P-47 one of the highest flying fighters of the war, a dominant force in the stratosphere that could pounce on enemy aircraft from above. The P-51's most vital role became bomber escort. American B-17 and B-24 bombers were suffering horrific losses on deep raids into Germany as earlier fighters lacked the range to protect them. With external fuel tanks, the Mustang could fly all the way to Berlin and back. Bomber crews lovingly called them their little friends. The Mustang's arrival in large numbers in 1944 decimated the Luftwaffe. It helped establish total Allied air superiority, a prerequisite for the D-Day invasion. As German Reichsmarschall Hermann Gottlieb lamented, "When I saw Mustangs over Berlin, I knew the jig was up." While the Mustang ruled the high escort, the Thunderbolt excelled as a fighter bomber. Its rugged airframe and tough radial engine could outstanding American single-engine fighter. It could shred ground targets, It could also carry up to 2,500 pounds of bombs and rockets, allowing it to deliver about half the payload of a B-17 on a single mission. The Jug became a master of train, busting, and destroying armored vehicles, claiming nearly 9,000 trains and 86,000 trucks. The P-51 was a pilot's dream. It was fast, agile, and responsive. The definitive version, the P-51D, featured a teardrop bubble canopy that gave the pilot unparalleled all-round visibility, a critical advantage in a dogfight. It was armed with 6.50 caliber machine guns, a potent arsenal for both air and ground targets. Pilots felt connected to the Mustang. It was an extension of their will in the sky. However, its liquid-cooled Merlin engine was also a vulnerability. A single hit in the cooling system could be fatal, leading some to say, if you want to send a picture to your girl, fly a Mustang. Flying the P-47 was a different experience. Pilots sat in a roomy, comfortable, and well-armored cockpit, feeling like they were in a lounge chair. They knew they were in a rugged machine that could protect them. One pilot, Robert S. Johnson, returned to base after his P-47 was hit by hundreds of rounds of German fire. Cooled radial engine could take significant punishment that would disable a liquid-cooled engine. This legendary toughness bred immense confidence. As the saying went among pilots, if you want to come home every day, fly a Jug. So, which was better? The answer is complex, as they were tools for different jobs. The Mustang's superior range and maneuverability made it the undisputed king of the long-range escort. The Thunderbolt's ruggedness and devastating ground attack capabilities made it the ultimate fighter bomber. In a hypothetical dogfight, the P-51's agility might give it the initial advantage, but the P-47's ability to survive hits and its tremendous firepower meant it only needed one chance to turn the tables. As one aviation expert put it, the P-51 might empty its guns into the P-47, but fail to score a fatal hit, and the Thunderbolt would only need one good burst to destroy the more fragile Mustang. The most famous P-51 pilots were arguably the Tuskegee Airmen of the 332nd Fighter Group, also known as the Red Tails. For the distinctive markings on their aircraft, they flew P-51s on escort missions. Building a legendary reputation for never losing a bomber they were protecting to enemy aircraft. Their success in the Mustang was a powerful testament to both the aircraft's capabilities and their own extraordinary skill and courage, helping to pave the way for the desegregation of the US military. While the Mustang is often called the ace maker, the P-47 produced some of the highest scoring aces in the European theater. The 56th Fighter Group, which flew the Thunderbolt for the entire war, became the top-scoring group in the 8th Air Force with 677.5 aerial victories. Legendary aces like Francis S. Gabreski, 28 kills, and Robert S. Johnson, 27 kills, achieved their remarkable scores in the rugged P-47, proving its deadly effectiveness in air-to-air combat. The key to the Mustang's success was its incredible range. With internal and external tanks, the P-51B could fly 750 miles to a target, putting Berlin well within reach. In contrast, the early P-47 had a combat radius of only about 125 miles on internal fuel alone. While later models with larger drop tanks improved, they could never match the Mustang's reach. This long-range capability allowed the Allies to resume their strategic bombing campaign deep into Germany, systematically dismantling the Nazi war machine. One area where the Thunderbolt was unquestionably superior was in a dive. Its immense weight gave it tremendous momentum, allowing it to outdive almost any other aircraft in the sky. Friend or foe, Heritage flight pilot Charles Tuna Heinlein, who has flown both historic aircraft, noted that when leading formations in the P-47, the accompanying Mustangs would often have to ask him to reduce power because the jug dove so well. This diving ability was a key tactical advantage, allowing P-47 pilots to disengage from a fight at will. Both aircraft were instrumental in the costly air war of attrition. During Big Week in February 1944, a bombing offensive targeting German aircraft production, Mustang pilots helped destroy nearly 17% of the Luftwaffe's experienced fighter corps. The P-47 also ended the war with an impressive aerial kill ratio of 4.61. However, the cost was high. 3,499 P-47 were lost to all causes in combat. These machines were not just metal and wire. They were flown by brave men who risked everything. The service of these legendary aircraft did not end with WW. Both were used in the Korean War, where they were redesignated as the F-51 and F-47. The Mustang served as a fighter bomber, but its vulnerable liquid-cooled engine proved susceptible to ground fire. The rugged Thunderbolt continued its ground attack role, but the age of the jet was dawning. The P-47 was withdrawn from its frontline service in 1949. But remarkably, the Peruvian Air Force did not retire its jugs until 1966. The P-51 Mustang's legacy is cemented as one of the greatest fighter aircraft ever built. Over 15,000 Mustangs of all types were constructed. Its beautiful lines and incredible performance continue to captivate aviation enthusiasts worldwide. Today, it is a star at air shows and a prized warbird. Its distinctive snarl, a sound of history taking flight. The Mustang symbolizes a perfect blend of American manufacturing and engineering brilliance, a machine that truly changed the course of a war. The P-47 Thunderbolt's legacy is one of brute strength and resilience. More than 15,600 jugs were built. While fewer remain airworthy today compared to the Mustang, their presence is no less powerful. Museums like the Evansville Wartime Museum work to preserve these aircraft as symbols of the immense industrial effort on the home front. The P-47's DNA is visible in later ground attack aircraft, most directly in the A-10 Thunderbolt II, which shares its name and its philosophy of survivability and firepower. While the P-51D is the most famous, it was the earlier P-51B that truly turned the tide. As one historian noted, the P-47 began the destruction of the Luftwaffe, and the P-51D would complete the job, but without the P-51B, the air war might well have been lost. This model, with its Merlin engine and 4.50 caliber guns, was the first to escort bombers deep into Germany, breaking the back of the Luftwaffe fighter force in the critical period of early 1944. It was the right plane at the right time. In the end, comparing the P-51 Mustang and the P-47 Thunderbolt is like comparing a precision dueling sword to a battle-hardened warhammer. The Mustang was the elegant, long-ranging champion of strategic air power. The Thunderbolt was the unstoppable, brutal fist of tactical air power. One could go farther, the other could take more. One was a scalpel, the other a sledgehammer. The Allied victory was not won by one alone, but by the combined complementary strengths of both of these legendary aircraft. The P-51 Mustang and the P-47 Thunderbolt were not just machines, they were the embodiments of different answers to the same brutal problem. They represented two parallel paths to excellence in engineering. The Mustang was a masterpiece of aerodynamic efficiency and strategic vision. The Thunderbolt was a triumph of raw power and rugged durability. Together, they formed an unstoppable team in the air, one clearing the way high above, the other crushing the enemy below. They were the wings that carried the Allies to victory, and their stories forever intertwined. remain a testament to the ingenuity and courage of a generation.
A fighter bomber, the P-47 Thunderbolt. One engine, one man, one bomb on each wing. Extra fuel tanks for range. 6-5's crew chiefs taxi from the dispersal points. Line up the squadron.
Destroyed the heavily concentrated front-line operational strength of the German Air Force forever. Now that the sky was in the control of the imagination, one can head for the sky with the help of an ace fighter pilot. For the next few minutes, sit back and enjoy the ride.
Let's stop shooting the breeze and get this ship off the ground. Okay, Bob. Colonel, if you'll join me in the control tower, we'll have grandstand seats.
Right. See you later, Chilton.
Right, sir. Clear. Keeping the tail on the ground and use of rudder trim, as I said before, counteracts normal torque action on takeoff. A bit of back pressure on the stick has to be used to keep the tail down. Landing gear up. Here come the flaps. Practically no settling when they're raised.
So we've navigated the specs, the stories, and the strategies. We've seen the sleek grace of the Mustang and the brute force of the Thunderbolt. But the debate is far from over, because history is lived not in the archives, but in the conversations it sparks. This is where we pass the torch to you. In the comments below, we want to hear your verdict. If you were a pilot climbing into the cockpit in 1944, which one would you choose? The long-ranging Mustang or the rugged Thunderbolt? Tell us which plane you believe was the true king of the skies, and why. Your engagement is what fuels this channel. If you enjoyed this journey into aviation history, do us a huge favor. Smash that like button, fine. It helps us immensely in sharing these stories with more history buffs like you. Subscribe to World War II Journeys and ring the notification bell. We have so many more stories to tell, from the beaches of Normandy to the deserts of North Africa. The untold tales of bravery, strategy, and machinery are waiting for you. Become part of our mission to keep the memory and lessons of the Second World War alive. Thank you for watching. We'll see you on the next mission.